Good morning, everybody. I'd like to call this meeting of the NMU Board of Trustees to order, and I would ask Secretary Andrew to please take the roll.
Trustee Young,
Here.
Trustee Hart,
Here.
Trustee Fatante,
Here.
Trustee Sepinen,
Here.
Trustee Holmquist,
Here.
Trustee LaPointe Dunham,
Here.
Trustee Lindberg,
Here.
Trustee Toutant.
Here.
We have a quorum with all trustees present.
Thank you. I'd like to just take a second to recognize a VIW we have joining us today to watch the proceedings. And a VIW, of course, is a very important Wildcat. And that is Mark Pinnanen, who's the chair of the NMU Foundation. Mark, thanks for being here. Thank you. Next item is our approval of the agenda. I'd like to ask for a motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Support.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries. I'd like to, at this time, move to agenda item 4, which is a moment of silence for a couple of deceased former members of the Board of Trustees. Trustee Emeritus Catherine Katie Wright passed away on January 23rd, 2024. She was appointed to the NMU Board of Trustees by Governor Milliken, serving for 16 years from February 1973 to March 1989. In 1987, she was elected the first female chair of the NMU Board of Trustees and held that position for 2 years. Katie was awarded an honorary doctorate in public service in 1989 and was granted emeritus status in May of 1992. Trustee Emeritus Dr. Doug Roberts passed away on July 11th, 2024. He was appointed to the NMU Board of Trustees by Governor John Engler and served from January 1, 2023 through December 31, 2010. While on the board, Doug served 2 terms as chairman. Dr. Roberts was granted emeritus status in May of 2012. Both Katie and Doug are prime examples of leadership and community involvement. They will always be remembered as Wildcats. Please join me in a moment of silence in their honor. Thank you. Okay, we're going to go on to item number 5 on our agenda, and that's a discussion regarding cybersecurity. And I'd like to, at this time, call Dean Carol Johnson to the front and for a presentation. I believe she has some people with her that she will introduce. So, thanks for being here, Carol.
Thank you for the invitation. It really is a great day to be a Wildcat. And it is really my privilege to be able to share what's been happening with our team. There have been some really transformational activities happening in cyber, information assurance. I will ask each member of our team to introduce themselves when they come forward, but I do want to provide some background information for you. Last spring, a rather large contingent of NMU folks met with Representative Alyssa Slotkin, and we shared what was happening in our cyber program. And she asked the question of us, do you ever participate in any activities with the government? So we started talking, and fast forward, we had an opportunity to participate in what is called Northern Strike. So we have some students here, some faculty, and our Cyber Institute director, who is fabulous, and will tell you a little bit more about it, and you will be amazed. Michael?
Thank you, Dean Johnson. Good morning, esteemed board members. My name is Michael Sauer.
I'm a proud Wildcat. I graduated from Northern in 1995. I'm aging myself a little bit. Spent a career abroad and couldn't be happier to be back at my alma mater leading the Cybersecurity Institute. So it's a real honor to welcome you today and have the privilege to discuss the success and growth of the Northern cybersecurity programs. Along with Dean Johnson joining me today, and I'll have them stand up and actually have them do some reflections as well, are Dr. Jim Markwitson, Assistant Professor, Computer Information Systems, Jeff LaRue and Rebecca Taden. They are both current information assurance and cyber defense students. And then Mrs. Sarah Hagel, recent IACD graduate and a proud NMU alumni. So I'm glad to have them here with us today. We know that you have a full docket today, and that it's a busy week with homecoming. So we appreciate the opportunity and we'll be mindful of time. So thank you for the opportunity to present today. With that being said, we do want this to be an interactive discussion. So please feel free to ask any questions during the presentation or the student reflections. ICED? Information Assurance Cyber Defense. Yeah. So that's our program of study. So today we'll provide a brief history and overview of the program at Northern. We'll focus on how it started, the student experience, the various career opportunities that our students and graduates have, and then our efforts in workforce development at a state and local level. So I'll start out and hit the rewind button. Our program started, we did have a computer information system program, but we decided to become what is known as a Center of Academic Excellence in cybersecurity. This program is managed by the National Security Agency's Cryptological School. It really establishes the standards, curriculum, and academic excellence, including competency. It has become the de facto accreditation governing body for higher institutions teaching cybersecurity. In addition to the curriculum and competencies, it places a high value on community outreach and engaging in solutions challenging the cybersecurity education and the national cybersecurity workforce shortage. This rigorous application process validates the program of study. In addition, it requires a commitment from the institution demonstrating that it understands the expectations and responsibilities of the program. And it also required the establishment of a cybersecurity center. And that's where the Upper Peninsula Cybersecurity Institute comes in, and we'll talk about our mission in a little bit and some of the initiatives and programs that we work on. It was a lot of work. NMU completed this process, I believe it was a year-long process, and we received our approval letter in October of 2021. At the bottom of the slide, I really want to show what happened in 2021 when we received our CAE designation. We had 35 majors. In 3 short years, we've seen 30% plus year-over-year growth in enrollment in the program, and now we're at 86 majors. So I think it really shows the return on investment of becoming a CAE, and enrollment continues to grow. And we really kind of see that from a macroeconomic and workforce demand level, that talent gap and pipeline still exists. So we're trying our best to fill it. I'd like to invite Dr. Markwitson up just to kind of reflect on the CAE process. We are going through a redesignation right now. So Jim and I have been busily working against all of the criteria and requirements for that, and that will position us to be accredited in the future. Dr. Markwitson?
Yeah, I smiled when you said it was a year-long process, because this is my 10th year at Northern, and my first day on the job, I met with a colleague and said, we need to become a CAE. So we started then to start planning the curriculum changes, planning what our center needed to be. It takes a while to make those curriculum changes. So 1 year was the application, but it was the culmination of years of work. So we're very proud of what we were able to accomplish. So that CAE designation allowed us to obtain grants. For example, we held Gen Cyber summer camps where we brought high schoolers onto campus for full 2-week, really intense hands-on cybersecurity exercises, all funded through the National Security Agency. So we could reach out to people. They didn't have to pay any out-of-pocket costs, so we could reach lots of people who otherwise wouldn't be able to attend a summer camp like that. And it's been fantastic. So lots of great things have happened, and we're looking forward to keeping that going.
Yeah, we've got great momentum.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Mark Woodson. So on the next slide, I would like to talk about the student experience within the program. We have a student-centered approach, small course sizes. This puts a lot of value on collaboration, real-world application, and competency-based learning. Along with that, Northern's really known for this, is the experiential learning experience. So we have a great cybersecurity lab with the latest equipment where students can actually work hands-on, whether that be in a cyber range or on a Cisco switch. And we're really excited because we have a new lab that we're designing right now that will be part of the Northern Enterprise Center. So really exciting things to come. But with the Hardin Hall remodel right now, we're a bit cramped, but we're making do and looking forward to our new home. So in addition to that, we have a lot of conferences, competitions, and field trips. We have had students go down to the CypherCon conference, the GERCon conference in Grand Rapids. These are both cybersecurity conferences. Students that have participated in the Auto Cyber and the Auto Truck national programs. And then we'll talk about Northern Strike here. This was really an experiment, a new collaboration, and some really, really exciting partnerships were born out of that. We have also a really formalized and mature internship and apprenticeship program as well. A really strong industry advisory committee that provides those experiences and then also provides support back to the program and the university itself. So those strategic partnerships really come into play. And if you look at this Venn diagram, I've got the student there between outreach, industry engagement, and education. But that's really where the UPCI sits as well, is to kind of bridge those three areas together and those intersects to be able to create meaningful experiences for our students. So it's a really great institute to run, a lot of different touch points. It's never a boring day. And it's really great to be giving back and spending 25 years in the IT field to really prepare the next generation for the demands of the workforce. So I would really like to focus on one example that recently came to fruition. As Dean Johnson had mentioned, we had Representative Slotkin visit the university in February, the beginning of this year. And out of that was some ideas thrown around. Boy, Northern Strike is the largest joint military exercise in the United States. 6,000 troops, 5 NATO countries, military across the branches, Air Force, Navy, Marines, Army. And one of the things that they've started to do at Northern Strike is really focus in on the cybersecurity capabilities to support the troops in the field. So through some further discussions and a follow-up visit with President Tessman and Executive Director Hemela, we were able to be put in touch with the right leadership at the military to explore this possibility, and we started laying the groundwork for the collaboration. So through these combined efforts, last month, Dr. Mark Woodson and I took a group of 9 students to the exercise, and we worked along the 172nd Cyber Protection Team. There's a couple of firsts that came out of this collaboration. One is that Northern Strike has been looking to collaborate with higher education. It's been on the roadmap for the last 4 to 5 years, but it's never happened. The second thing is that the protection team has always really had a defensive posture within the military. This year, it was providing increased battlefield capability and intelligence to the troops. So we had a live strike team that was going into a bank, and our goal was to provide a live video feed, hack into the webcams, and provide that to a visor on the captain that was leading the strike. And it was a really great experience. Our students got to not only perform in the hacking, but then go out the next day to an entire village that they've built where this exercise was taking place and view the breach of the building from a fourth floor from across the street. So I'd like to invite up Rebecca and Jeff, who are both students who participated in that, and have them just reflect on their experience a little bit. Feel free to ask them questions.
Hi everyone. I'm Jeff. It was really interesting to not only be able to see how the military runs their cyber operations, but to actually get a chance to sit down with the team and interact with the systems and kind of get some actual hands-on experience sitting behind the keyboard, penetrating the network or sharpening up defenses. And we also got a really good opportunity to just talk to the people there. A lot of us got contacts now in the National Guard to potentially start our career in cyber for the military. And it was really interesting to hear what the options are, not only full-time, but also through the Guard with regards to, well, serving, but then also having a civilian job on the side, knowing that that's an opportunity. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Becca Tatum. I first want to say thank you to everybody for allowing us to be here. This opportunity was outstanding. It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. I'm part of the ROTC program here in Northern Michigan University, so to be able to actually see how the cyber unit's actually able to work within the Guard was amazing. We made a ton of connections there, and also we were able to be hands-on with them, which I think was one of the most eye-opening experiences, to actually have your hands on a keyboard and working directly in their network. They provided us a ton of different opportunities while we were there that none of us, I think, really expected for them to provide to us. But it was an amazing opportunity, and if y'all have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Was this down in Grayling, or where did this happen?
Yes, sir. So this was down in Grayling. We stayed up in Gaylord just because it was easy enough to commute there. But we were able to actually be on the base and go around to some of the different buildings around there. That's a great question.
Could I ask a question too? Could you both tell us a little bit about what year you're in, what your background, where you're from, and then what prompted you to get into this field?
Yes, sir. So I'm a senior here at Northern Michigan University, so I graduated in May. I'm originally from Florida, but my father has been in the role of cybersecurity for about the last 10 years. At my high school, we had an Academy of Computer Science that I decided to join and was accepted into. So that's kind of what got me started on the path. And then I came up to here at Northern. I learned about the program, and I've always enjoyed smaller class sizes, which is something that Northern specializes in general. And so I really thought that was a great opportunity. Plus, Marquette was really beautiful and great for hikes. So does that answer your question, sir?
Yeah, so I'm from Belgium. Out of high school, I went into a computer programming course, and I have an associate's from back home in that field. But throughout the 2 years I spent there, I learned that I really like the security aspect of it, and I'm an athlete, so I was looking for an opportunity as an athlete to come to the US and study, because it's a really great opportunity, especially coming from a country where the combination of study and athletics is not really something that's, actively pursued by a lot of people. And then I talked to a bunch of schools, but really here talking to Jim about the hands-on experience that the program here offers and the small class sizes really got me to come here, because I really thought that was a very important part of education.
What sport?
I'm a swimmer, and I'm a senior here, so I'll be graduating in May.
kind of two questions. How well do you think you were prepared? Has Northern prepared you for your experience at this first strike thing? And then what did you learn in addition when you actually engaged in that exercise?
I think we were very, very well prepared from a general knowledge point of view, but I think going into it, none of us really knew what to expect, and I think that's where we really learned a lot in primarily how a cyber operation is run, so what the actual steps are, how to integrate that team into a real world exercise, but also just how to work with the tools a lot more efficiently. We learn how to do certain small things with the tools here in the labs, but we don't have hours and hours to just go through every single thing you can do with the tool. And the people there are trained professionals. They've been doing this for years. So to just see how they use the different tools to first scope out a network, then get a real view of where vulnerabilities are was really an experience where you learn a lot. I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Thank you.
Becca, Jeff, thank you for reflecting on your experience. Really appreciate it. So, as Becca and Jeff had mentioned, we really didn't know what to expect because there was no playbook for this. So when we met with leadership, with the lieutenant colonel, brigadier general at the end, it's how do we formalize this and be more prepared for next year? So already looking forward to being a partner in Northern Strike next year. We really set precedent. When I say we, I mean the university, in being able to form this collaboration and partnership. And so in honor of that, I would like to present President Testman an emblem of the 176th Cyber Protection Squadron. So there you go.
Oh, wow.
And I'm sorry, Steve, it was at Grayling, or the board member that had asked. I had forgot to forward the slide. But a picture of the students here getting read in, briefed on the mission. So you can kind of see us in the war room here. And this is where we're going over what we need to accomplish, what the goals are, who we're supporting. And then we got to switch, too. We got to go from being the adversary to being on the defensive side the next day. So we got to see both sides of the equation. Really, really great experience. Want to talk a little bit about the career opportunities that we have as well. We have a very, very strong industry advisory committee. Hats off to Mr. Nyberg for a lot of the work and outreach that goes there. I work with Dave on a regular basis on building these relationships and building opportunities for our students. And I'll say, not only do we have a lot of alumni at these companies, but alumni that run the cyber programs at these companies. So a really strong alumni network coming out of Northern as well. For instance, the chief security officer at Billerud is a Northern grad. The Ford cybersecurity protection team lead is a Northern grad. So really a privilege to work with them and also work on providing internship and apprenticeship opportunities for our students. Not only do they do that, but they support us as well outside of the internship opportunities. If we think about cybersecurity as a very fluid, very dynamic, changing field, this year's curriculum may not be relevant next year. And a really good example of that was when cloud computing came on scene. We had heard loud and clear from our industry advisory committee that we needed to start preparing students for securing cloud-based assets. So we became an AWS training academy for AWS cloud architecture. Another great example is their commitment. Next week, we'll be having the 3rd annual Upper Peninsula Cybersecurity Symposium, $18,000 in sponsorships from our industry partners to put this community event on. I would really like to highlight 3 companies that are on here. And the interesting story is that these companies opened offices or now have a local presence in Marquette. So not only do our students have experience, but we're also boosting the local economy. And a new addition this year is Occamsec. Matt Landers is their director of assessment. Matt Vogt, both are instructors that have worked at the UPCI, now working at Occamsec. We just finalized a MOU, an academic partnership for an internship opportunity. One thing that was really lacking for us was penetration testing. We've got the North Cross group that does governance, compliance, and risk and assessment, but also does pen testing. Then we've got Pillar, which is a security operations center that the entire security operations center used to be NMU interns and are now full-time 8 NMU graduates that are running a security operations center here in Marquette. So when you kind of think about the 3 domains of cybersecurity, you have the GRC side, what we call governance, risk, and compliance, red team, which is offensive, and blue team, which is defensive. We've now rounded out these local partners where whatever interest you have, whether that be on the compliance side, the red team side, the blue team side, we have an opportunity. As an example, I'd like to invite up Sarah Hagel. She's a mother, a recent NMU alumni, and she is now the regional manager and cybersecurity advisor for North Cross Group here in Marquette. Sarah graduated last year, is now starting her master's in cybersecurity, and is now in a position where she's hiring NMU interns and graduates. Sarah?
Hello, thank you. As Michael said, I'm working at North Cross Group. I graduated in May from the cyber program here at Northern. I was fortunate enough just a year ago to be one of the interns at North Cross Group. So to go from that to being hired, actually, I think I signed my contract right before I graduated, so that was fantastic. Running the internship program there has been a very rewarding experience. We have currently 1 development and 1 cyber intern. Over the summer, we had a couple of cyber interns. Becca was one of our cyber interns over the summer 90-day internship. And so we're really looking to continue building that out and providing opportunities for the interns. They get to see a lot of the different sides of cyber. So everything from penetration testing of web applications that we produce in-house, and then see more of the business side with the governance and risk and compliance. They had an opportunity to be writing policies and procedures for some of our customers. So really getting to see a lot of the different things that are possible. And I'll say that I am putting my education to use every day of my job. So thank you to Jim for giving me the tools that I need.
Thank you, Sarah.
Does anyone-
Absolutely.
You've got, I forget the exact number of majors, but it was 80-some majors.
Yes.
How successful are you in placing most of those into these kind of positions?
There are 600,000 open cybersecurity jobs in the U.S. right now. Despite higher education's best efforts of about 200,000 CIS graduates a year, that number hasn't shrunk. It's a very in-demand, high-placement field.
I guess on the internships, I want to.
I try to place every student, yep. And there has to be an interest. There has to be someone wanting to pursue that opportunity. Not every student feels comfortable with the workload of class and having a paid internship on top of that. So it really depends on the individual as well. But if they come to me, I'll find a home for them.
How many students do we currently have in the cybersecurity program?
86.
86.
Yep, and that was a 7%. We're starting to plateau. We're not seeing the big 30% bumps from year to year. So it was a 7% increase from 2023 to 2024.
Michael, I've been reading on this, and it seems like there's about to be a major change in the challenges of cybersecurity relative to AI and quantum computers?
It is. It's very much a concern. Not only do we see, just AI's impact is on really every part of society, and we're seeing that same amount of impact from a cybersecurity perspective, not only from threat actors, but also from a defensive side as well. It may be a database analyst, it may be normal behavior to download 3 gigabytes of a production database. But if the mailroom clerk is downloading that data, this is like an interesting story, right, where AI can kind of learn the context of your title, what you're doing, and then if it sees something either from the outside or inside that doesn't make sense, that after it's learned the model, it can automatically send an alert. And then on the point of quantum computing, modern encryption, everything from us banking online to securely sending messages, quantum computing would render that encryption useless. It's an exponential increase in computing power. With that being said, the NSA that funds the CAE and runs the CAE program is working on quantum-resistant encryption algorithms. As a matter of fact, NIST, which is the Industry Standards Committee, just put these out for public comment. So really a rolling encryption scheme, so even though the quantum computer is super fast, it can't keep up with the encryption curve of the algorithm.
And I brought that up as a follow-up question, was that the need for because you're way over my head, I mean, it's going to be exponential on our end relative to
It is.
the need for people who do understand the language you're talking about.
Yeah. The example I like to use with a quantum computer is using a light switch. Light switch is binary. It's on or off. It's a 1 or a 0. With a quantum computer, it's like a rheostat dimmer, where you have 1,000 different versions of 0, of off, and 1,000 different versions of 1. So you think about the amount of transistors that we're trying to get into a chip, that really removes a lot of the heat constraints and the processing constraints.
How big do you think your student body is going to be in 5 years that you're going to need?
I don't know. I know AI will drastically change the cybersecurity workforce, like a lot of other workforce concerns that are out there. So I definitely think that there will be an impact, but we're certainly not starting to see it yet. One of the big problems with quantum computing is it has a 99.8% accuracy when it comes to encryption and other mission-critical applications. 0.02% is a really big deal. So they're working on that. They're working on error correction algorithms, and it will be ready for prime time, I think, in the next 5 years. Okay, last thing I just wanted to cover was some of our workforce development efforts. As I had mentioned, CAE does require that there is a center at the higher education institution that focuses on workforce development and community outreach. I had mentioned earlier, you'll see that number in the upper right-hand corner. I believe that was from middle of 2023. 663,000 open U.S. jobs, 3.4 million cybersecurity jobs globally. White House just eliminated the 4-year degree for cybersecurity to work in cybersecurity in the government because there is just not enough people. Coincidentally, Northern was invited to the White House to be read in and give input on that cybersecurity workforce development strategy. So the Institute focuses, in addition to the student experience, on K through 12 outreach. We have 3 programs: UperCon, Gen Cyber, our cybersecurity symposium. UperCon, we have 14 districts from across the UP, 300 students on campus for 1 day, an immersive 1-day cybersecurity exploration as a career and as the technology that's involved. Gen Cyber, as Dr. Markwitson had mentioned, NMU has received over $300,000 in grants from the NSA to have 2-week residential camps where it's a really deep dive, very competitive process for the students coming in on that. They come in from all over the country. We just held our 2nd camp in June of this summer. And then community events. Starting next Monday on September 30th, we'll have 150 information security professionals here on campus for a 3-day cybersecurity symposium. Industry partners, professionals, practitioners, and then the students from Northern and Michigan Tech will be putting on labs as well, kind of showing off their skills. So really exciting things that are going on. And one thing I would like to say is that NMU and the UPCI have been recognized at a state and federal level for our unique approach to workforce development and the programs. A lot of the stuff that we're doing are being replicated in different parts of the state and the country. So I really appreciate the time today. I would like to open up for any questions, and if there are none, thank you.
Maybe one question. This isn't an overnight process, and so it's wonderful that Northern has this and has developed it. How many years ago did this really start in terms of thinking ahead and understanding we need to take our department in this direction?
Jim, I believe we called it computer information systems at one point, and then there was a transition to information assurance and cyber defense. I think you're in a better position to answer that.
Now, 2016 is when we really got serious about cyber and information assurance. Wouldn't you say?
I'll come to the microphone just so everyone can hear. But yeah, the major officially started 2014. In 2015, we had a whopping graduating class of 2. And so the program started out there. And we knew that that Center of Academic Excellence, that was the stretch goal. But in 2015, we looked at the requirements and we just said, there's no way. It was a big reach. So we knew we had to make curriculum changes. Like we looked at peer institutions. We were teaching about 32 technical credits in our major, which was well below what some of our peer Center of Academic Excellence institutions were doing. So we had to make very large degree program changes, and that took a year or two to work through, and then we had to have graduates that went through that curriculum before we could apply for a Center of Academic Excellence. Again, we had to create the center. We had to do a lot to get there. So all that planning started back in 2015, 2016, took years of preparation, and then, as Michael mentioned, about a year-long application process. There were a lot of documents that we had to submit to show, to prove that we were doing all of this.
You must have 100% placement for graduates. I mean, that's what I'm kind of seeing here. What kind of salary does an outgoing student get on average when they get their job?
Ooh, that's a tough question.
Just give it a range.
I've had students, one student working locally told me he started out with a salary of 40 grand a year. After a year of experience, he doubled his salary when he switched companies. So once you get a little bit of experience, you know, your salary can increase rapidly. So what's the average? I'll ballpark 60, 70, 70. I'm seeing 70 from the back. So yeah.
From the students themselves.
Yeah. So it depends on geography, it depends on the company, but with just a little bit of experience, you know, so many doors are opened up. With that 600,000 open job, I'll just throw out that it's still hard for a lot of our students to get their foot in the door, which is why the internship experience is so important. The degree matters for sure. Half of employers won't consider you without that college degree.
I would also imagine you almost have to have a security clearance of some sort. I mean, not a official government security clearance, but they do significant background checks and everything else.
If you have a government security clearance, you'll add 40 grand onto your salary. So that's one thing the National Guard can help with, because if you volunteer your services to the Guard, they can help you with that security clearance, which then opens up a lot more opportunities.
So when we look at the labor shortage. We're a leader in this area. We have about 86 students, and I think it was 85 majors.
Yeah,
Okay. How can we get the word out? How can we increase our enrollment in this area? It just feels like there's a lot of, positive momentum and factors that we can capitalize on here.
I think one of the best things we're doing, and it's really under Michael's purview, that K-12 outreach, doing UperCon, we've brought 300 high school students, bus them in for an all-day hands-on cybersecurity event. So that's not only introducing the students to cybersecurity, but the educators themselves, the teachers and principals and people are also seeing the great stuff that we're doing here on campus. So that also helps get the word out. So even if a student doesn't attend UperCon, maybe their high school counselor did and can tell them about the opportunities here at Northern.
So start young.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we know from research that those early childhood experiences on campus increase enrollment. I have been here 1 year. We have 5 students in 1 year. I have 5 students that have joined Jim's program that started through Gen Cyber or UperCon and are now enrolled at Northern.
And this would fall under the STEM as well, correct?
Absolutely. Seaborg is a huge partner, and I share a resource with Director Standerford on STEM outreach as well.
We also recognize how important it is for students in the general education program to have a cyber experience. So we added a 100-level course, Cyber Fundamentals, that students may take from any major to fulfill a gen ed requirement and be exposed to those fundamentals that they will find on any job. And so, part of the gen ed program is learning critical skills, critical thinking, problem solving. This is going to help them. It may be a way to build majors too. Students might take it and say, I can do this. So it's really good.
Real quick, and I know we're running short of time here. Michael, I want to thank you. This summer, I was able to get a very extensive tour of the cyber security facility here, and I would encourage any board member to do that. It's absolutely eye-opening. Getting back, though, to the summer experience, this summer I saw all around campus, cybersecurity program going on. How many students were here on campus for that 2 weeks?
We admitted 40 and at camp commencement 34.
Okay.
Some didn't make it, had a medical emergency, some sort of life event, but 40 is our target every year.
Do we have any evidence that these students are then continuing on, coming here to Northern to take classes?
5 of them are freshmen this year.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. It was a great presentation. Thank you in particular for bringing the students so we could hear their story. And I do think it might be a good idea for us as a board to
It's a wonderful
check that out
experience.
at some point. So maybe
Yes.
Kathy, we can do that. So. Okay, what we're going to do is take a little break, but before, we'll take a break because we have an Academic Affairs Committee meeting that starts in about 7 minutes or so, 6 minutes. But before I do that, I want to make another introduction. We have another very important Wildcat that's joined us here this afternoon, or no, this morning, sorry. That's Trustee Emeritus Steve Mitchell, who was with us here, and obviously Steve was on this board at one time, is also chair of this board, and has come up to enjoy the 125th celebration and the homecoming. So thanks for being here, Steve. It means a lot to us. Thanks. Okay, we got a 10 o'clock start for the academic affairs, and then after that, we will resume this formal session at 10:40. Thank you.
Good morning. I'd like to call to order the NMU Academic Affairs Committee, Board of Trustees Academic Affairs Committee meeting to order. Present are Trustees Steve Lindberg, Trustee Greg Sepinen, Trustee Greg Toutant, ex officio Steve Young, our board chair, and ex officio President Brock Tessman. First on the agenda, we have an Academic Senate update by Dr. Jamie Crabb, who is the Academic Senate Chair.
Right. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Jamie.
So I'll make this short and sweet because that was what I was asked to do. So thank you first and foremost for supporting shared governance on campus. The report that I provided you guys shows everyone that is on the Senate exec and also on the Academic Senate. Though I do want to note that there are still a few personnel changes because of schedules have changed a little bit for a couple people. And as soon as I know that, I'll send that to Kathy. Along with that, of course, the floor is always open if you guys would like to visit the Academic Senate, same with President Tessman, or if you would like to come and observe. I also want to make sure that I thank all of the members of CUP and GPC because they have a really large work load through the school year. They do all of that curriculum revision, which is really awesome, and a very heavy workload. On top of that, this year we're working with Josh Santiago, and we worked through the summer. It was CUP Chair Stacy Boyer-Davis, Kelly LaHillier from the Graduate Office, Daniel Rowe from Math, and he's the GPC Chair, and then Josh Santiago and myself, and we were working on a curriculum update. So we're working with Modern Campus to create a electronic version of our forms going through and kind of a pathway of how the forms are going to be accepted. So with that, hopefully, yes.
The acronym GPC?
Graduate Programs Committee. Yep. So hopefully with the advancing of Curriculog, we'll have like a dry run this winter, and then hopefully that will be able to go live. But I'm hoping that that will help with some of our issues that we've run into in Senate as far as formatting or questions about using the correct bulletin language, those kind of things. So fingers crossed that that will be fixed. Any questions?
Does anybody have any questions? Well, it was short and sweet, but thank you. It was informative.
I made it in my 4 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Of course.
Next on the agenda, we have Dr. Casey Holder. He's going to give us a charter schools update.
And that's my update.
No.
Okay, so sorry, just kidding. Welcome. So a couple of quick announcements that are not on the part that was in your packet. I have two things just to kind of update you on. As we're in the legislative season and you're reading news, just remember two myths that occur in the charter school space. One is that charter schools are for profit. They are not for profit. They are public schools, free and open access to all. And it's management companies that are for profit. And I just had a phone call just earlier this week about that with somebody. And just remember that management companies are for profit. And so a good example is like if a school contracts for snow removal, they might be contracting with a company that's for profit. So it's kind of like that. But management companies oversee the business side, the hiring and the firing in some cases. 7 of our 9 schools have management companies that do a wide range of services. And so as the legislation may, in the second announcement, is they're looking at accountability. And so a myth is charter schools are for profit and that charter schools are not accountable. Charter schools are equally accountable. They do all the state reporting, and they even have an added layer of accountability to parents, because if a parent wants to pull their kid, they do. And so those are just two common myths that occur. So as you're reading and hearing, and these myths occur in all sorts of news sources. So just kind of pay attention to those things. Another quick one was just recently, the MDE released a press release on improved attendance. Just so you can kind of get a picture of the schools that we serve. And this was not in your packet, and I know in the back you can't really see it, but you can definitely see there's one line up above the other line, and our schools are about 12.9% higher than the state average on chronically absent students. And so just for a quick picture, if you have an 800 student building, that's over 80 additional students who are missing 2 or more days a month. And so our schools in general are serving difficult situations, and the students are missing more school than average. 5 of our 9 schools have chronically absenteeism rates of 49% or higher. To give you a little perspective, just think if you're a business owner and half of your employees miss 2 days a month. That's kind of what that would be like. And so our teachers are doing a great job trying to fill those gaps when students aren't even coming to school all the time. So those are just 2 quick announcements that are beyond the memo. Back to the memo, the performance framework revisions have been going great. One of the updates that we're pretty for sure going to be doing, I'm going to call on our academic performance. We have academics, finances, and organizational health. So the academics is going to be very, very similar to our existing one. The finances are very similar, but we are probably going to go to a 3-color, maybe even a 2-color, because finances are a little more black and white than academics. You know, if you have 10% fund balance, you have it. So we're looking at kind of modifying that. And regarding the performance framework in December, you will get the normal 1-page color-coded dashboard for all of our schools, and I'll have a draft for you to see with the specific changes. There's only about 3 that we're kind of looking at right now. And so you'll be able to see, and I'll be able to, show them to you and be like, here's how we've changed, here's what, and you'll be able to give me input at that time prior to making it formal as it would go into the contracts in July 1. So you'll get to see that in December. Number 2 on the information, we have 2 schools going up for renewal this year. So that means in May, I will be bringing a recommendation for their new contracts to start July 1. And then just an updated list on board members. So with that, I tried to stay under 4 minutes. And can I entertain any questions?
I believe we have to have a vote on the new board members.
So as an acceptance, yes. So yes, it's under informational, and it is one of the, yes, you can vote to accept the slate of
So I
non-disapproved
did look over all of these. They all look like strong candidates for board members. They're volunteers at the school, parents at the school. Did anybody have any questions for Casey?
Maybe just one question, with the financial realities around charter schools, and I don't know if legislatively or in your spheres of discussions, how could the expanded funding capabilities of local millage opportunities that they can't currently leverage, is there any hope on the horizon that there'll be some formulary change at the state level to make charters a bit more palpable?
Absolutely. And so the major organization MAP, so the Michigan Association of Public School Academies, is advocating for that all the time. And so there's definitely people advocating, but it's legislative, and so it's political. And so the answer that the best I can say is there's people arguing for accepting and thinking of different alternative ways, but we'll see what happens.
Oh, thank you.
Sure.
So I believe we need a vote or a motion to approve the new board members.
I'll make a motion we approve the board members as presented.
Do I have a second? Support. Motion, so we have to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Thanks, Casey. You kept it in your 4 minutes. We're moving along.
Have a good one.
Okay, next we have Mr. Scott Smith, Ms. Deanna Posega, and Dr. Leslie Warren. They're going to give us some important information on a AI work group.
We are on top of things. You know that. You know we're on top of things. So good morning. I am Leslie Warren. I'm the Dean of Library and Instructional Support, and my role in this presentation is mostly to stand back and let the people who do the work do the talking. In this case, though, we will, as I introduce my colleagues here, we will actually see a little bit of a shift. The person who's probably done the most on our campus for an organized effort for AI, Scott Smith from our Center for Teaching and Learning. He's an instructional technologist. Scott has given me permission to share with you that he had eye surgery early this week. So fair to say you feel like you're on a cruise ship that's going through a rough patch right now. So even though Scott is here and he's done most of the work, we're really going to take the lead and let him. If you need to sit down, then you are welcome to, Scott, so that you don't have to rely on your sea legs. And then, of course, on my left-hand side is the other person who's doing a lot of the lead work, Deanna Pozega. Deanna is a faculty member in engineering technology. Her background is in hardware and software design for missile guidance systems. So, you know, the cybersecurity people were cool. We bring you missile guidance. Just so that we're keeping up with the Joneses. So several of you were on the board when Scott and Tony Allman presented about AI, initial discussion about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. Since then, Tony has gone on sabbatical, so he's less involved right now. Scott has gotten more involved, including at the national level in higher education AI leadership. And I'm very pleased that Scott has served on the EDUCAUSE Generative AI Expert Panel, so that he has been in the conversations at the national level about what other universities are doing, what we are doing, and how we can approach such a dramatic change to higher education. We have formed an AI work group. We're starting its second year. We formed the group by inviting participation from across campus. So in addition to AAUP representation, we have faculty members from NMUFA, we have staff members from career services, from marketing, and from some other offices. I think it's toward the end where we actually show and from IT, of course, where we'll show the membership. A little bit of a shift this year, but still we have that cross. Oh, thank you. Yep. But we still have that cross-campus participation. As Deanna will tell you, she'll give you some more specifics, but last year was primarily about fundamental AI literacy across campus. How do we get everybody ready really fast to have these conversations that are coming after we're already seeing impact and change. And so with the committee then, they've done some work. I'll let Deanna talk to you about that, and then I'll talk to you a little bit about where they're headed this year. We're going to skip through the timeline. Is that okay with you?
You have to advance each one.
I will.
Before,
That's okay. I'll advance each one. Yeah, Kathy has already warned us that she is coming for us if we don't stay on schedule. All right, so Deanna, let me.
That was me, actually.
Oh,
I can do this.
you're okay?
Well, I'll do this part.
Okay. Stay by the microphone.
Okay. Okay, so some of the original objectives of the work group were, first of all, tracking and sharing the evolution of generative AI. This is stuff that's happening. The evolution is happening right now as we speak. It's been happening since pretty much late 2022. And lately, there's been even more groundbreaking evolutionary generative AI models that have come out and will be coming out for the rest of this year. So this is something that we have been doing, and it's something that we're going to continue to be doing for sure. Updates to NMU's policy on academic dishonesty. That there actually was it was a minor update, but we did submit it. I'm not sure where that's at as far as being accepted or anything like that, but it was submitted. Support faculty incorporation of AI into curriculum. This is something that we've been trying to do through workshops. We've had quite a few faculty workshops. Also through the websites, we do have quite a bit of documentation and material on the websites that do have to do with faculty incorporation of AI into different aspects of the curriculum, and coordinating AI literacy programs. This has actually been a pretty big one. getting people up to speed. Most people know what generative AI is now, but throughout the year, this is what we've been doing. You know, what is it? What are the opportunities it presents? What are some of the challenges, obviously, that it presents as well? And getting people to be able to use it in at least a very basic capacity. I believe the next one's you.
I can go with this.
Okay.
So we're continuing to support the overall objectives. You probably know by now that our AI work group falls under the purview of academic affairs, and thus we're trying to support their priorities, which are listed on our website. Some of the different ways we're doing this, it's really important to us that our students graduate with not only an understanding of what AI is, but also how to leverage it to be the best they can once they get to the workforce. We want them to go out there and stand out amongst graduates from other universities, especially in terms, our goal is for them to stand out in terms of AI. We're responding to a lot of different needs for faculty, students, and staff. So we want to be able to streamline routine tasks. We're showing people a lot of different ways how to do that. We're improving accessibility, which does a lot to make things fair for everybody across the board. There are a lot of tools in AI that allow us to add accessible features to websites and everything else. We are streamlining routine tasks that have to be performed from time to time and elevating all the things we already do well. AI has been made possible through a lot of different disciplinary contribution. So I'm not going to go through each one of these, but the algorithms that make AI possible come to us from computer science and math. The understanding of natural language comes from the linguistics area of study. The neurology field allows us to understand neural networks and how the brain actually works, which is what AI is trying to model and be just like. And then my favorite field, I'm a little biased here, but engineering. We're responsible for the hardware that powers it all. As a matter of fact, I teach a semiconductors course right now, and I've incorporated into my curriculum the different ways that semiconductor chips are being designed now that makes AI possible. Like the NVIDIA chip. It has a core it's designed more for like matrix operations instead of step-by-step operation. So basically a lot of things are happening all at once. And it's doing this faster and using less power than ever before from the earlier generation chips. So it's really cool that we're able to do that. No matter what, we're trying to show students, staff, and faculty how all these different things fall into our curriculum and into our daily lives. And Sarah Lee is another work group member. She and I are actually teaching a special topics course this winter on the evolution of AI. It's not 100% developed yet, but basically we're going to be talking about everything that we can use AI to do and how all of these different fields tie into AI. It's basically interdisciplinary overall.
This is me again. One of the things, Deanna didn't mention it, one of the things that I find to be particularly exciting about the co-teaching model that she and Sarah have. Sarah is actually faculty in the TOS program, and she's in the Cannabis Operations program, which means that we'll have a class co-taught from two different unions, two different faculty unions. I find that to be a really powerful combination, that we have an NMUFA and an AAP faculty member teaching together in an interdisciplinary course that will be under the technology prefix. The other thing that I find exciting about that is Sarah is actually a remote faculty member for TOS, and you may remember that NMUFA actually allows for fully online faculty and anticipates that, so that that there's just lots of opportunity here to explore some different teaching models and collaborative models in that class. Nothing to do with AI itself, but I still think it's cool. As far as no surprise, many of us are using AI in our daily operations, whether we're recognizing that or not. Just want to highlight a couple of the things that we see on campus right now. John Mara, our Chief Technology Officer, who is joining the AI work group this year, has taught me the term radio resource management. And John has explained to me that this is one way that they're using AI to balance network traffic and to review network traffic on campus, where they can actually look at the activity flow, not the activity itself, but the activity flow, to provide for a more efficient network system. We see it in our services to students with disabilities, where the Glean software is being used to provide accessibility options and accommodations for students who may need note takers. We see AI being used in our well-being activities through our EdSites chatbot, which is also being used for student retention. And then, of course, we're using it for artistic purposes. If you go to, and I hope everybody does, if you go to see the Beaumere's 125th anniversary exhibit, you'll notice some of the photos that Dan has in the exhibit are blown up into full exhibit size. He was able to take them from very tiny yearbook size, blow them up, and not look pixelated and smeary because of AI artistic software that's able to clean up those photos to enlarge them that much.
Leslie, you're hitting a point, the question I was going to ask. We, institutionally, we've bought software specifically that's AI for use by faculty and staff?
There are many ways of answering that, because sometimes the software that we have relies on AI to support it, but it may not necessarily be AI software. So with some of the things, like when we talk about Glean, AI is in the background. It provides voice transcription for faculty's lectures and presentations. We don't think of that as we're providing AI specifically to our students, faculty, and staff, but AI is the backbone of what makes this available. One of the things that will be coming online this semester that is really just a generative AI tool, Google has added to its suite, help me out on the name, Gemini. I always think Genesis, and I know that's not right. So the Google Suite has added Gemini, which is an AI tool, a generative AI tool that would be comparable to something like ChatGPT, but it can also work with some other images and things. We're adding that. I was talking to John Mara about a week ago. He was just at a Google Education conference where they spent a lot of time with Gemini, and he's working on how we can make sure that we have the security and privacy protocols in place to make that available generally across campus as part of our Google package.
So the answer that I was looking for was yes, which I think is good.
Okay, good. I took a lot of minutes to say that. So
Adobe Firefly.
Oh, right, Adobe Firefly. So the other piece that we're adding as far as art and generative AI, we have Adobe Express coming online in October. It will be an Adobe Creative Campus. And so we're working with IT, the Center for Teaching and Learning, and CISU Innovation Institute to bring that on board. And it has an AI component as well that will be available to all of our campus.
And anything else that we're teaching is able to be done on the free platforms that are available.
And I have to say, I'm feeling really comfortable from where we were last year when we were talking about this, that we're going in the right direction by not, being scared of it, but actually trying to incorporate it in our activities and education.
Absolutely. And so that actually leads us nicely to where we're headed now with the AI work group. So the AI work group's task has moved beyond this, the sky is falling, which all universities hit at one point. Is that fair? Yeah. So we're moving beyond that to now we're in a position where we can really highlight the productive, efficient uses of AI. So this year, the AI work group will be hosting a series of workshops and discussions about specific uses of AI in research with big data and some of these other ways that students would be able to use it. And they'll be, in addition to refining our AI literacy resources, they'll also be making recommendations to the provost about policies and procedures and infrastructure that we need to operationalize and really make the best of AI instead of just running in fear from it. Okay, so that is where we end. We do have the work group members so that you can see the range. We have, since our slides were submitted, we have added John Mara, who's our Chief Technology Officer, and we've had a couple faculty swap out. We're adding Derek Christian, who's a faculty professor in art and design. He has a 2/3 reassigned time to the Center for Teaching and Learning to be our digital media consultant for faculty. He'll be on this group. And also Dr. Terry Del Pier, who's a nursing professor, will be joining this group.
Do you have any questions?
Maybe one question. Do you align with other institutions just to see kind of what everyone else might be doing in relation to the incorporation of AI as you work as a work group?
Do you want to answer that or you want me to?
Yes. Well, yesterday I actually participated in a webinar where we were talking to faculty from Wednesday, from several different universities and how they're using it, and then also having Scott as participating at the national level with AI. We're able to see across the board what everyone else is doing. And that's been part of our assignment as we've been going forward too, is to compare ourselves with other universities. We want our students to stand out. We want us to be on top.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? This is really interesting. You guys are doing a great job. Thank you.
How'd we do on time, Kathy? Where'd Kathy?
Perfect.
Okay, she didn't play us off, so I guess that's good. All right, thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
With that, meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to reconvene this meeting of the NMU Board of Trustees, and we'll go on to agenda item number 6, which are individual requests to address the board. Secretary Andrew, do we have any requests?
We do not.
Thank you. Our next item is item number 7, which is one we all look forward to, and that's our moment in NMU history. I'd like to call forward Dr. Russ Manyagi to provide us our report for this month. Thanks for being here, Doctor.
Okay, thank you. Today I would like to talk about Northern celebrates its history, 1949, 1999, and 2024. Northern Michigan University has had 2 major celebrations commemorating its 50th and 100th anniversaries. The Golden Jubilee was celebrated in 1949. The first university historian for the event was Professor Francis Roy Copper of the Psychology Department, who wrote the first history of the school. He used oral interviews with early faculty members as the basis for the manuscript. Unfortunately, prior to the celebration, he passed away of a heart attack in January, and his history was placed in the library someplace and was finally edited and published some 50 years later. At this milestone, President Henry Tape hoped that the state legislature would provide money for a library and industrial arts building, and $460,000 was provided for the former. In April, Tri-Mu Fraternity presented a revival of Bright Lights, which focused on Northern's first 50 years. At the same time, one of the old-time faculty members, Wayne McClintock, professor of industrial arts and physical education, retired. When he arrived in 1915, he had 4 industrial arts students, and in 1949 it had gone up to 85. In an editorial in the Northern College News, students call for the establishment of ice hockey, the king of winter sports, but that would have to wait. Highlights during the commencement week in June started with the administration building dedicated as Kay Hall, and President Kay's son, Dr. John Kay, and his family drove up from Menominee for the celebration. This was followed by the largest on-campus gathering, 370 alums representing every class since 1901, faculty and guests, attending a luncheon in Lee Hall Ballroom and the formal dedication of the Cary and Lee Halls. Rear Admiral Swanson, Surgeon General of the United States Navy, class of 1921, was the major speaker. At commencement, 4 individuals were given honorary degrees. In an editorial in the Northern College News, the school was looking forward to the next 50 years that the light of a good Northern education would continue to burn. Plans for the celebration of Northern Centennial in 1999 were started by President William Vanderment in April 1994 at the meeting of the Centennial Committee that would oversee the celebration. The position of university historian was created, and President Vanderment selected myself for the position. He was charged with gathering and preserving university history, finding and saving university artifacts, sculptures, and paintings found in hidden locations around campus. There was one painting that was sitting on a radiator from Grace Spalding. This was the origin of the present Beaumier Heritage Center. The Peter White Lounge was created with a showcase focusing on Northern's history. Over 100 oral interviews were made with students, faculty, administrators, including all of the presidents to that time. The present mace used in commencement ceremonies was created for the centennial by Mr. Dale Weedig of the Art and Design Department. On the birth date, April 28th, dozens of photographs were taken across campus to illustrate student life at that time. And I think at that point, students did have work-carrying phones, or maybe that, I don't know. Maybe not. Okay. There were numerous publications promoting Northern's history. The best remembered is Miyagi's Sense of Time, Encyclopedia of Northern Michigan University. At the present time, Dr. Diane Kordich is editing and revising the encyclopedia so that it will be digitized and available to the world. At the centennial celebration on April 28, 1999, former presidents James Appleberry and Bill Vanderman attended the grand luncheon. President Judy Bailey and a number of administrators had traveled to Lansing for a state celebration of Northern's achievement. In September, celebrating the original start of classes in 1899 in the old City Hall building, a grand banquet was held in the Superior Dome, attended by hundreds of guests. President Bailey led the toast, hailing Northern's future. It was the grand finale of years of planning. President Vanderment used this celebration to take action to preserve and promote Northern's history and that of the university. Fostering part of the quasquicentennial celebration, Mr. Daniel Truckee, director of the Beaumier Heritage Center, has developed a special exhibit at the center focusing on Northern's past, which I recommend visiting, and has given the Sonderegger Symposium on November 8th a Northern theme, which you are invited to as well. Last evening, President Brock Tessman led the community in celebrating the 125th anniversary, which will continue through the homecoming weekend. As in the past, everybody looks forward to Northern's growth, providing excellent education for generations of students. We move forward to 150 in 2074. I think a number of us won't be celebrating. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Obviously, very timely, and given last night's celebration and the 125th and moving forward. So thank you for that history. I'd like to at this time go to agenda item number 8. That's our ASNMU update, and call up ASNMU President Dana Hinckley for a report. Dana, come on up.
Hi, everybody. As he was saying, I am the ASNMU president this year, and I'm going to try to keep this brief. There's a lot of info in here, so I'll try to keep it short. We're going to continue working on our grief absence policy this year. I'm hoping that will get passed at Academic Senate very soon. It essentially gives students 3 days of time off in case a family member, someone close to them, roommate, anybody passes away. We're looking to revamp our career closet. We have already done most of the hard work for that. We're still looking for donations to our career closet to kind of get some better clothes, some that aren't worn out or out of style. You can see some photos on the bottom there of what it looks like right now. And that is located in career services currently. We have our grad closet. That's one of our most successful programs on campus, and we're going to continue doing that, of course. Our bike share program, we are going to try to get new bikes. We're currently trying to sell the old ones and get some new ones for students to use, but until that happens, we do not have a bike share program at this moment. Our period project is one of our most utilized programs by students aside from the grad closet, and this program, it costs thousands of dollars to run. It's very expensive depending on how much use it is getting. This semester, we have seen students using it more than ever. We just went through so many period products within 1 week, and we already had to restock it. So we're working out how to get some kinks out of that project or how to get some additional funding for that. Because it is very much needed by students here. We're also going to continue working on the emergency contraceptive vending machine. This would provide students with low-cost or free materials such as condoms or Plan B and that kind of thing. I'm hoping that we can get this up and running by the second semester this year. We're going to continue doing some of our social programming. Some of our most successful programming that we've done in the past was our ice cream social. This was part of Spread Goodness Week, and those pictures on the top there, that whiteboard is when we asked students for input on how ASNMU can make NMU better for them. And they had some really fun ideas. Some of them were a little silly. Some of them were very much needed. It was a really great event. Students also came to eat some ice cream, make some bracelets, and we ran out of ice cream within 2 hours, and it was a 3 to 4 hour event. We also are going to continue our monthly art contest. Students love doing this. The contest winner gets to have a spot in the student art gallery. Our open skates are very popular as well. There's a photo there at the bottom on the right, on the right. And we're going to continue doing that. So what's on students' minds? Unfortunately, I do not have some big concepts here. There's a couple, but it is the beginning of the semester and a lot has changed. So I have some little tiny things. Housing is still on there. There's not enough housing to sustainably support students. I'm sure you guys all know that. Students are unhappy, but I am glad to report that some students are coming around to the idea. I've heard a lot of talk of students being like, oh, I heard this, oh, I heard that. And it sounds like they still don't like the scenario, but maybe they're understanding it a little bit more, whereas before it was just all negative comments. So at least there's a little bit of understanding there. Food on campus, last year and previous years, as I've been told, food has been a struggle for students to enjoy in the dining hall specifically. I've heard some positive feedback, actually. Some students actually really enjoyed the food this year in the dining hall, especially the panini station opening up. since Fall Fest, I personally have noticed, I don't know if this is true, but personally, I have noticed that a lot of students are getting involved on campus, and this is coming from a student that is very involved myself. And so this year, since COVID, I feel like there's an increase in student involvement, which is awesome to see. On campus tutoring, we're trying to help with that, better advertisement for that program, student wages. We're really seeing a struggle with students finding students wanting to be employed on campus. A lot of areas, as I've noticed, has not had many student employees there, or they're lacking staff that could work there, and that could be due to a combination of multiple things. Wi-Fi, this is a weird one for me personally, but on Yik Yak, I don't know if any of you guys know what that is. It is an app. It's kind of like an anonymous Twitter. And a lot of students complain about the Wi-Fi all the time, like every day students will complain about it, which is it struck me a little weird, but you know, students complain about that a lot. It might have to do with like areas on campus. So I think I'm running out of time, but I'm going to keep this really short. So the Wildcat Farmers Market happened on Tuesday. It was very successful. We had 55 vendors in total come to the event, and I've been told an estimated 1,000 attendees came to the event, which was amazing. This is definitely something we're going to be continuing in the future. Afterwards, I had vendors come up to me and say, hey, I do this every day, I do this for a living, and this is the most success I've ever had at a market before. And that made me feel really good, and I really want to continue this program, this event. So yeah, we had lots of activities, yard games, Zumba with Mark Chevy, live music from Total Head. We had tie-dye, and the Wild Pups also came, and Wildcat Willie. So what do we plan on doing in the future? Voter registration, we're going to continue doing that, working with local organizations as well as student organizations to promote voting registration. We're going to be sending out a monthly newsletter to students. And then we're also going to be hosting events to try to connect with students or utilizing our office hours more efficiently so that we can get some more student input. And this is our assembly. We had a little bit of changes since the last time that I was here with Gwen. Victoria is now our treasurer. And then we have a couple of added people from our academic and student affairs, and we're looking at a couple more students that have applied to be members of ASNMU, which is awesome. So yeah. That is all I have. Thank you.
Are there any questions, Dana? Yes. I've got one. Yep, go ahead.
I have a question. You mentioned the success of the period project, but the challenge is financing that. What's the current model for getting those products? Do you just go out and purchase them? Do you order that? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so we passed a budget for it. The last budget we passed was like $1,500, I believe, and that was last semester, and we are currently like 1/4 of the way through those supplies. And so we just order them online, and then we'll get them replenished as needed.
Okay. Yeah. I was just kind of thinking about opportunities maybe to reach out directly to those that manufacture those products to see if there's some opportunity or if there's any dollars around that. So it's just so critically important. So
I agree.
I think it's a great project.
Thank you.
Dana, on the ice cream social, you showed a whiteboard where students wrote stuff down like they'd like ASNMU to work on. What do you do with those ideas? Or do you categorize them afterwards and look at them, and what do you do with that input?
Yeah, we take photos of them, and then we kind of take note of the like most prominent ones on there, or people like second them. See, the one that sparked a conversation was the one in black in the middle, open melted. That's what sparked the conversation of students don't want to work on campus, is because there's a need for it. Students really want this. Students want longer hours for the dining hall. They want cat tracks to be open late, and I think a couple times they weren't, or maybe they reduced their hours or something like that. They want Starbucks open in Jamrich on the weekends, but students don't want to work there. So we definitely do talk about this input that's on the whiteboards and that kind of thing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments?
I think we're good. Thank you, Dana. Appreciate the report.
Thank you.
Very good. Well done. Okay, we're going to go on to agenda item 9. That's our staff update, and I'd call Mr. David Wygand to come up for that presentation. Welcome, David.
Good morning. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak here today. I'm David Wiegand. I'm the newly appointed president of our local UAW 2178. Our new vice president, Lindsay Haukala, is in the back. She's going to give a wave. And I've been asked to represent the Staff Labor Council here today. It's an honor to be asked to deliver these remarks, and to be honest, I'm not sure which is more uncomfortable, talking in front of all of you people or this shirt and tie that I'm wearing. Jeff mentioned a comment that he probably hasn't seen me in a shirt and tie since I interviewed 10 years ago. The people I represent in the TOPS, the AFSCME, and our AP union are the base and the critical infrastructure of the pillars that NMU currently stands on. Our members are involved in every aspect of campus, from admissions to financial aid, student success and well-being, from academics to athletics, student experience and housing. Our people are there. Our rigor, sense of community and inclusion, and the environment we've helped create have brought over 7,400 students to our campus this year. We strive to help our students make connections, find their innovative ideas, and achieve their higher education goals and their success. While I was attending Convocation this year, I was excited to hear about all the great things that NMU has planned. Our grand challenges sounds like a major undertaking. We look forward to being part of that exciting and incredible undertaking. Our staff will indeed keep our compass pointing north and help in any way that we can. I also enjoyed reading about the list of NMU's unsung heroes. And as I know a great many of them, they're all well deserved. But as I walk through the campus and continuing my work through the days ahead, I realized that that list was very short. So many of the people that I see around campus and I'm proud to work with should be on that list. The things they do and achieve are truly amazing and very often go unnoticed. They show me their dedication and their commitment to our core values each and every day. And the people I'm speaking on behalf of are the reason that every day is a great day to be a Wildcat. The Staff Labor Council would like to thank you, Dr. Tessman, Chair Young, and the other members of our Board of Trustees for your efforts to have open and frank discussions about the concerns of our members. Listening to the struggles that we face and taking the time to have those conversations, even the tough ones, have shown your willingness to open the lines of communications that for some time have seemed closed. We look forward to continuing these discussions, and we hope that we can find practical and innovative solutions to help our human infrastructure achieve their well-being. Again, I'd like to thank you very much for this opportunity today, and I look forward to working with all of you in the near future. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Other questions? Make sure we've got plenty of time here, so if you got questions, fire away. So,
Just very well said.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You guys have a great day.
and I think you look good in a shirt and tie, too.
It's
Great.
uncomfortable. I'd love to stick around a little bit longer, but there's some kind of a concert going on tonight, and
Okay, that's what we
I
hear.
heard some rumblings about a football game tomorrow. I'm going to go see if I can help out with any of that. You
All right.
guys have a great day.
Thanks, David. Appreciate it. Okay, we'll go on to agenda item 10, and that's our president's report, and we'll call on President Tessman.
Great. Thank you so much, Chair Young. And as always, there's so much that I could choose to cover in my time through this president's report. I really also want to share my appreciation for David's comments and also Dana's comments, Jamie speaking on behalf of the faculty, and really understanding that Northern success is absolutely a team effort. We do our best to recognize members of that team as much as possible, but it goes without saying that there are hundreds of team members that don't get that shout out every single day, but their contributions, their work, their commitment, essential to our success as an institution. This morning in informal kind of breakfast, I had a chance to share some thanks to folks who work directly in the president's office and who help make things tick right next door to me. And I think one person, it needs to be added to that list, but the reason that I wanted to talk about Kathy Andrew right now is because, in fact, she's the board secretary. And so, in theory, kind of operates in a middle ground between the president's office and the board of trustees. but we do have plenty of time right now in our agenda. We've stayed on track in this meeting, and we do pretty well typically in these meetings. And it's not because of me, and with all due respect, it's not necessarily because of any of you as trustees or any members of the executive council. It's because, Kathy, you do such a good job of keeping us on time and on task. And beyond that, that's just sort of the tip of the iceberg. If you look around this room, if you think about the logistics that go into making these meetings successful, the number of different stakeholders that come to the front of the room and give their presentations, how those presentations are organized, all of the events, the luncheons, the engagement events that help make these board meetings so successful, that's also due in large part to Kathy and her work with Deanna, of course. Outside of the board meetings, the special board meetings that are called, conference travel for trustees and others, working with other dignitaries that have engaged the board in order to make sure that things run smoothly. Kathy's at the center of all of that. I also want to really commend Kathy and thank Kathy for the work that you've done in terms of pursuing your own professional development. It was really fun to see you going to the board secretary conference and the board professionals conference this year. You are absolutely a liaison between NMU and your peers and other institutions around the country. You also show a great deal of flexibility in your work. Some of you who haven't visited our core office may not know this yet, but Kathy is now located right across from Laura in her office and right next door to me. And I think that that's a positive change, but any change can be challenging. And so, Kathy, you've been very gracious and flexible. So I wanted to add Kathy in front of you all as trustees. Make sure to thank her for her efforts in the spirit of David's comments about it being a team effort. Many things to report. You will later on this morning consider approval of the university's new mission statement. It's fitting on our 125th anniversary to be adopting a new mission and vision. We're launching a new strategic plan. And I've talked a bit about the strategic plan over the last couple of days. I've talked about the vision over the last couple of days. I haven't yet really read in detail our mission statement, which describes who we are and why we exist. And so because you'll be voting on it a little bit later today, I wanted to remind you of exactly what that mission statement is. The new mission statement reads, Northern Michigan University empowers learners with distinct and meaningful experiences that open doors to extraordinary opportunities. Our purpose is to foster close connections between learners, leaders, communities, and the natural environment in order to nurture and inspire creative problem solvers, critical thinkers, and responsible citizens dedicated to promoting the health and vitality of the Upper Peninsula, Michigan, and beyond. We presented this mission statement in a number of venues. It was generated through a lot of listening and engagement with the community, off campus, on campus, and we had a chance to present it at the convocation ceremony that we used to kick off the academic year. To remind you, this will need formal approval from the board. It's the one element out of all of this kind of planning work that requires formal approval, so I hope you'll consider it carefully later on in this meeting. I will not take the opportunity to go through our strategic plan again, but I do think it's worth reminding those who are in attendance that really over the last year and a half, we've been building on our strong interim strategic plan. I want to thank all of those who were responsible for making that such a strong plan. We've been drawing on the historical strengths and traditions of Northern Michigan University, and then we've been looking forward. And as we look forward, we have launched Our Compass. That's the name of our new strategic plan, and it's a directional document, an aspirational document. It's comprised of three, I think, bold, ambitious, grand challenges, supporting our people, partnering with our place, and realizing the potential of all our students. You all have heard me describe some highlights here and there in the strategic plan. I invite you to dig in a bit further. Certainly happy to answer any questions you have, but I wanted to take this opportunity just to mention that as we move forward, we'll be building out action plans within each of those grand challenges. There are 11 strategies across the three grand challenges. There are strategy leads associated with each one of those strategies. And then our executive sponsors, Ane Dahlman for realizing potential, Gavin Leach for partnering with Place, and Rhea Deaver for supporting our people. Those executive sponsors will coordinate the strategy leads. And on each of the strategy teams, we'll have a representative group of individuals to drive those strategies forward. certainly some administrators and staff, certainly faculty. We've been proud to reach out to Rick and the AEUP to seek appropriate partners from across the faculty to work on each of the strategies. And then I think I'm so pleased to see that a number of the strategy teams will also include students and community members in some cases. So it really reflects the engagement we'd like to see in the strategic plan. Things really kick off with some strategic doing workshops. There's one organized for each Grand Challenge area, and they'll be held not too long from now, September 30th through October 3rd. And then we have a Fall University Forum scheduled for 3 p.m. on Wednesday, November 6th. And I think at that point in time, our 3 executive sponsors will have a chance to update the entire campus on our progress building out the strategic plan. In terms of recognition moments, this is the part that really is almost impossible because there's too much to choose from. I'll actually reference some things that are relevant to this meeting, things you've seen or heard as part of this meeting, maybe a couple of other items along the edges of that. But we just heard earlier today from our cybersecurity program, the Upper Peninsula Cybersecurity Institute, about the growth of that program. I was so pleased that Director Sauer, Jim Markertson, and Dean Johnson chose to invite students to be part of that presentation. And we really came to understand sort of the way in which experiential learning plays a key role in that program's growth, collaboration with the people we serve, our government, the state of Michigan, the region, business and industry partners plays a role. And then I was also struck by the diversity of students that were presenting. And I don't pretend to know the ins and outs of cybersecurity and which types of students are studying in that field, but I noted that we had a really nice mix of students who had come here, in some cases from pretty far away, in order to study at Northern. So a good example of the intersection between academic excellence and the student experience. And when it comes to faculty recognition, I've mentioned this example a couple of times already this week, but I really want to go on the record and commend Kel Sassy on her recent recognition. It's a national recognition from the National Council of Teachers of English, and it's a tremendously competitive award, the Julia Berry Research Award. It's given to teachers and professors who do research on the careers of English majors and those that go on to teach English after they graduate from teacher prep programs. And Dr. Sassy's research will look at how English teachers who've graduated from Northern have navigated some of the headwinds over the last 5 or 6 years. Some of that's about the politics that exist in the classroom. Some of it's about recovering from the COVID pandemic. It's really interesting research, and we're so proud of Kel and the way in which she's pursuing her research agenda. On the institutional front, a couple of highlights, and again, among many. One is our recognition as a transfer-friendly school. And there are a lot of reasons that this is important. One of which being that Northern stands to benefit quite a bit from an influx of students headed into our community college system in the region, particularly in Michigan. Another is because Northern prides itself on serving all types of students. Some of those students come here directly after high school and they're on one glide path or another. Others take a bit of a meandering route, and that can involve transferring from a community college or from another four-year institution. It's essential for our bottom line and enrollment numbers to continue to progress on transfer. It's also very much in line with our mission as a university. And I was so pleased to see just this week the finalization of an agreement with Gogebic Community College that really is extraordinary. It involves a physical presence of Northern on the Gogebic campus, the opportunity for Gogebic students to kind of become part of the Northern community even while they're still at Gogebic. So that transfer process feels natural to them. And I suppose you'll hear a lot about that in the coming years. If I think about our grand challenges and the way in which we're focusing on these 11 strategies, one of them is around environmental sustainability and taking care of our natural environment. And I want to point out a major milestone that somehow I think got caught up in a lot of other good news, but it's a tremendous accomplishment. This university, under the leadership of Jess Thompson, but certainly including efforts from so many staff leaders, administrative leaders. Kathy Richards has been a good teammate, and also the faculty across our university have been huge partners. But we earned a STARS Gold rating. For a number of years, we had been a STARS Silver campus. The STARS rating system is based on our comprehensive sustainability efforts, and there are not many regional comprehensive universities that operate at that STARS Gold level. And because Jess and I share a hugely competitive spirit, and because I know our faculty and our students and our staff and our board leadership is so committed to this, you'll not be surprised that we are designing already a plan to achieve STARS Platinum status, which would be the highest rating that an institution can achieve, and a very few number of institutions in the country have achieved that. Very proud of that achievement as well. I want to wrap up by certainly highlighting that this is the 125th anniversary of this institution. We're doing so much to celebrate this year for that, and of course it ties in with our homecoming celebration. So a couple of things just to get on your radar if you don't have them already. But tonight we'll have a concert, an outdoor concert, kind of behind the Superior Dome. Maddie and Tay are the headliners, but I'll tell you I'm equally excited to see Sammy Brown, who is an NMU student and is going to be the opening act. We got cooperation all the way down to a nice rain shower last night that I think tamped down some of the dust that could be up with the swarm weather we've been having. But we expect a large crowd there tonight. Excited to see many of you there. We will see a game 1 p.m. on Sunday at the Superior Dome. I did not say 1 p.m. on Saturday. I'll save that one for a second. But a game of Begataway, and it's a traditional Anishinaabe game akin to lacrosse, and that'll be 1 p.m. on Sunday at the Superior Dome. Of course, we'll have another game 1 p.m. on Saturday. Excited to see our Wildcats take on Alma College, and I know we're going to give them a run for our money, their money. We'll have a good crowd there. Great to see the band there. I know we'll have alumni band around as well. Encourage you to visit the Beaumier Center to see that 125th celebration exhibit. And of course, encourage you as the celebrations this week wrap up to think about what comes next. We have a 125th celebration event at the new Native Plant Nursery on Tuesday, October 1st, and that's at 3 p.m. Get that on your calendar. And on October 10th, we talk about well-being all the time, and we're really building awareness around that. I want to highlight the Mind Over Miles 5K, which is at 5:30 p.m. on Thursday, October 10th. I could go on. I will stop there. I appreciate you all listening to me. Happy birthday, Northern Michigan University. Happy homecoming week to everyone at NMU and in the community. It's such a pleasure to serve as your president. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, President Tessman. It was a great report. And you didn't even mention the MSU basketball game, or did you? Did I miss it?
I didn't. I figure that thing's got a life of its own. But yes, I think there's a certain Sunday, October 13th, 1 p.m. We'll be loud and proud in the Superior Dome.
Great. Thanks, Brock. We'll go on to the next item, which is committee reports, and I'd call on Trustee Fatante to give us a report on the Academic Affairs Committee meeting.
The meeting of the Academic Affairs Committee of the Board of Trustees of Northern Michigan University convened at 10:05 a.m. Friday, September 20th, 2024, in the Northern Center, Peninsula 2, by myself. Also present at the meeting were members of the committee, Board of Trustees members, and Academic Affairs Pillar staff. Although trustees were present at the meeting, only the committee members participated in the meeting. The committee received informal reports and presentations on the following: Academic Senate, Charter Schools, AI work group report. The committee recommended that the Board of Trustees approve the following, which are included in the board formals. New charter school board appointments, JKL, Bawating, Anishinaabe Public School Academy. I apologize if I said that wrong. George Crockett Public School Academy, Natawash Public School Academy, and Walton Charter Academy. The meeting adjourned at 10:33 a.m.
Thank you, Trustee Fatante, and thanks for all your work on the Academic Affairs Committee. Next, I'd like to call on Vice Chair Hart for a report on the Finance Committee.
The meeting of the Finance Committee of the Board of Trustees of Northern Michigan University convened at 3:30 p.m. Thursday, September 19th, 2024, in the Northern Center Peninsula 2 by myself, Chair of the Finance Committee. Committee members were also present with the exception of Missy Holmquist, who was unable to attend the meeting. Present at the meeting were also members of the committee, Board of Trustees members, and Finance and Administration Division staff. Although the trustees were present at the meeting, only the committee members participated in the meeting. The committee accepted the audit open issues report as written. The committee was also provided an informal update on major facilities and capital projects, always very exciting. The committee recommended that the board approve the following, which are included in the board formals. Fiscal year 2024 through 2025 budgets for auxiliary operations, housing and residence life, the general fund, and designated fund. Also, 5-year facility master plan and the 2026 capital project request. Also, the 2025 long-term maintenance project list. And finally, the temporary liquor licenses. The meeting adjourned at 4:04 p.m.
Thank you, Vice Chair Hart, and for that report, and also thank you for all of your work as chairing the Finance Committee. We appreciate it very much. Going on to the next agenda item, and that's the approval of the Board of Trustees' proposed 2025 meeting schedule, and I would ask for a motion regarding that.
Chair Young, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the proposed 2025 meeting schedule as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, great. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the proposed 2025 meeting schedule in the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? The motion carries. The next item is agenda item 13, and I'd like to read a statement. Excuse me. Before we get to that, I'm sorry. The next item is our formal recommendations, action on our formal recommendations. And I would point out that we don't do discussion on this, we just vote on that. But I would add that in those formals, Brock, is the mission statement, which you talked about, which we will be approving if we approve these formal recommendations. So can I get a motion regarding our formal recommendations, please? Motion to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve the formals.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay. All right, is there any discussion? I guess we can't have discussion, sorry about that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion carries. This next item deals with conflict of interest, and I'd like to read a statement before we begin. The Board of Trustees has a conflict of interest policy stating that when a trustee is an employee of a party with whom the university enters into a contract, the contract needs to be vetted through the Secretary of the Board, the President, Legal Counsel, and the Board of Trustees. Trustee Greg Toutant disclosed a potential conflict of interest to the above parties as the university is contemplating entering into an MOU with Great Lakes Recovery Centers, for which Trustee Toutant serves as Chief Executive Officer. The MOU does not involve the exchange of funds between the university and Great Lakes Recovery Centers, nor does it enter into the financial benefit of Trustee Toutant. In addition, the MOU is in the best interest of NMU and the students, as it will serve to expand wellness services available to our students. Based on this, the Board of Trustees is comfortable to the extent that any potential conflict be waived and recommends approval of the MOU between NMU and Great Lakes Recovery Centers. This time, I'd like to ask for a motion to that effect, please.
Mr. Chair, I move that this board does not view the MOU that is being considered between NMU and Great Lakes Recovery Centers, for which Trustee Greg Toutant serves as Chief Executive Officer, as a conflict of interest, and it would be in the best interest of NMU and its students, and that Trustee Toutant be permitted to abstain from voting on this motion.
Can I get a second for the motion, please?
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion on the motion?
Perhaps just a statement more than anything in terms of the ability to help provide co-located substance use disorder counseling services to assist the current wellness center and the students on campus. And so it's an excellent community service opportunity.
Thank you, Trustee Toutant. Appreciate that, that narrative. That helps. There being no further discussion, we're going to take a roll call vote on this, so I'd ask Secretary Andrew to please take the roll.
Please indicate with a yes or no. Trustee Young?
Yes.
Trustee Hart?
Yes.
Trustee Fatante?
Yes.
Trustee Sepinen?
Yes.
Trustee Holmquist?
Yes.
Trustee LaPointe Dunham?
Yes.
Trustee Lindberg?
Yes.
Trustee Toutant?
Abstain.
Motion carries 7-0, one abstention.
Thank you, and thank you, Trustee Toutant, for the comments and also for the work that you're doing. And this is really vital for our students, so we appreciate it very much. Okay, we'll move on to the next item, and that's the President's evaluation and compensation. And I would at this time like to call on Vice Chair Alexis Hart to make a motion and also lead that discussion, please.
Thank you, Chair Young. Per Article 4 of the President's contract, we take the opportunity on a yearly basis to review the base salary for the President. I would like to move that the Board of Trustees approve the following compensation for President Brock Tessman for effective July 1 of 2024, and that's a 2% increase in base salary. This is representative and mirrors the non-represented increase that took place also in July of 2024. In addition, Article 4B grants the discretion of the board to look at a bonus, a discretionary bonus for the president in light of accomplishments. I would like to move that the board approve a $50,000 performance bonus in recognition of the significant work that's been done and the progress that we're already seeing from Dr. Tessman.
Thank you, Vice Chair. That's it was in the form of a motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay, is there discussion?
Sure, maybe just to give a little bit more context, we had the opportunity to put together goals for Dr. Tessman. I think it was in November of last year. We gave him a couple of months to get some grounding and footing when he came aboard physically in February of, 2022 now. 2023. So I would like to also point out from a bonus perspective, this is in recognition of longer than a 1-year period as well, recognizing the 18 months that you've been in the role. When we looked at the goals for what we wanted to achieve as a university, we looked at several different factors in collaboration with Brock, and they focused on enrollment. I think that we're all incredibly pleased to see that we're finally trending in a positive direction with a almost 3% increase in our enrollment, according to our 10th day numbers. I was also particularly pleased to see the increase in diversity of those enrollment numbers, which is fantastic. I think it was somewhere up above 15%. In addition to the strides we've seen in enrollment, we've also experienced greater retention that we're seeing as a result of many efforts that have taken place recently, but even before that, there was a lot of groundwork being laid. 78% retention, which is absolutely fantastic. I think this exceeded what we expected. When we first talked, we talked about let's hope we can sustain enrollment based on our current environment. There's been a lot of investments made from the student success aspect of things. I'm going to refer to my notes now because when I was trying to put them together, there's so many things to comment on, and I want to try to be as succinct as I possibly can. I'll speak a little bit more to the goals. We talked about sustainability. We just talked about the STARS rating, which is fantastic. I think also just in listening to you speak right now, there's the train is, it's a bullet train, and it's just it's going, and we're constantly trying to reach farther and farther, and I think that's fantastic. Academics, this year we have brought on Provost Anna Dahlman, and we're starting to see some great success there. When we look at the people, culture, and well-being pillar, we were happy to bring Sean Reese Butler onto campus. And when we look at ourselves from an organizational structure, and making sure that we're well placed to succeed and sustain, I think the changes are evident to everyone. I think one of the other things that I hear a lot is just about the energy on campus, and you feel it and you see it. You see it in the students, you see it in the faculty, you see it in the staffs, but you'll see it in the students. You're seeing it in the community leaders. It's just fantastic. I'm going to miss a lot of different things, but I do want to just sum it up. And I thought about what are some of the words that come to mind when I think about the leadership that you brought to the table since you've been here. And some of those words that came to mind were humility, authenticity, transparency, and certainly collaboration. With that, also a very strong vision that we are seeing, and I have it memorized now too. It's supporting our people and partnering in our place, and furthering our potential. So it's very exciting, and I'm very happy to make this recommendation to the full board, and have an opportunity to really thank you for the wonderful transition you've made onto campus and the difference that you're making.
Any further discussion? It's kind of hard to follow that because it's pretty comprehensive. So, but if there is further discussion from the board, I welcome that at this time.
Well said.
We'll do the motion, and then you want to speak.
Just a minute, yeah. After you're done, I'll take just a minute.
Okay, with that, we have a motion pending on the table. It's been seconded, so I'd ask Secretary Andrew to please call the roll on the motion.
Please indicate with yes or no. Trustee Young,
Yes.
Trustee Hart,
Yes.
Trustee Fatate,
Yes.
Trustee Sepinen,
Yes.
Trustee Holmquist,
Yes.
Trustee LaPointe Dunham,
Yes.
Trustee Lindberg,
Yes.
Trustee Toutant.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0.
Thank you, Secretary Andrew. And before I ask Brock to say a couple words, I do want to thank Vice Chair Hart for the work she put into this. I mean, a lot of behind-the-scenes work she did, developing the goals and objectives, meeting with Brock, going over them, seeing where we are, coming back, reporting to us. You did a fantastic job, and can't thank you enough for all you did with this, so appreciate it. President Tessman.
Thanks, Mr. Chair and Madam Vice Chair. That'd be really brief. One is just to thank you all as a board, and in particular, Vice Chair Hart, to thank you for the way we've worked together really since my arrival to develop SMART goals in thinking about ways in which we can drive the institution forward, and recognizing fully that I'm a cog in a much larger team. I am proud of what we've achieved so far, and I think it's just the beginning. And so to me, what is most important is the way in which we're achieving success as an institution. And so hearing you highlight some of the progress we made is the most meaningful part of what the board just voted on. The base salary increase is, of course, deeply appreciated. I recognize that, as is the bonus. And it's significant, and it's humbling. I have my own home team, my wife Kristen and I just wanted to let the board know that we talked about this should it come to pass, and want to make it clear that it all comes down to our students, I think, for everyone in this room. And so Kristen and I are committed to taking that amount and perhaps more and investing it as part of our emerging campaign into student success and scholarships. I think that that's why we're all here at the end of the day, and so appreciate the recognition and the ability to use that recognition in order to further our progress as a university in service to our students.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you, President Tessman. Appreciate those comments, and we will now move on to the next agenda item, which is Trustee Emeritus consideration. And I'd like to at this time call on Trustee Fattanti to make a motion, please.
I move that the NMU Board of Trustees confer trustee emeritus status to former trustees Robert E. Mahaney and Tammy M. Savoy.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion, Trustee Fattanti?
Yeah, I'd like to say a few words about Bob.
Please.
So, Bob was on the Board of Trustees at NMU from 2015 through 2022. He replaced Mr. Gilbert Ziegler, whose term had expired. He was the board chair twice, 2018 through 2019, vice chair in 2017, member of the executive committee and finance committee for 5 years, chair of the finance committee for 2 years, presidential search advisory committee in 2022, chair of the ad hoc committee for external partnerships, member of the ad hoc nominating committee. He was ex officio of both the ad hoc committee for policy review for 2 years and the NMU Foundation Board of Trustees for 5 years. He continued to support Northern as a longtime donor to the NMU Foundation and Wildcat Athletics, including creating and funding the Popular Score for Scholarships program that has provided financial support for many students. He has led with Northern other key enterprises, the establishment of Invest UP, first region-wide economic development organization for the Upper Peninsula, and he willingly shared his knowledge and experience by offering wise advice and counsel, especially regarding Northern's physical campus. And I was lucky enough to serve with Bob his last 4 years, or no, 6 years, sorry.
Great. Thank you, Trustee Fattanti. I believe Trustee Hart has some comments about Trustee Savoy.
Thank you, Chair Young. A couple of words about Tammy. I also had the pleasure to serve with Tammy Savoy. Tammy Savoy is an attorney with Kendricks, Bordeaux, Keefe, Savoy, and Riley PC. She was appointed to Northern Michigan University Board of Trustees by Governor Rick Snyder on December 8th, 2014, to a term that began January 1st, 2015, and expired on December 31st, 2022. Tammy did serve a full term. She replaced Mr. Steve Adamini, whose term expired December 31st, 2014. Tammy was an extremely active board member, as I think she continues to be in the community of Marquette, and I think most folks know Tammy. But while she was on the board, she served on the Finance Committee in 2015, 2016, and in 2017 as the Finance Committee Board Chair. She was also on the Academic Affairs Committee. She was the chair in 2018, 2019, and a member in 2022. She also was on the Extended Learning and Engagement Committee in 2020. She was the chair, and in 2022, she was a member. She was a part of the Executive Committee in 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, and 2021. She was the chair. She was a part of the Ad Hoc Nominating Committee in 2015. She was an Ad Hoc Committee member for Policy Review 2018 through 2022. In 2022, she served as chair. I should have put this through AI and made it a little bit shorter. And she was also an ad hoc committee member for Indigenous Peoples Day in 2022, and she served as the chair. And last and certainly not least, she was a presidential search advisory committee member in 2022. Having been and had the honor to be on the board with Tammy for, I believe it was 4 years, she was a leader for us during some very difficult times. She also served as an officer of the board in her spare time. She was a vice chair January 1st through December 31st, 2020, and she served as chair January 1st through December 31st, 2021, shortly before she left the board. She was a great mentor and a great leader for us, and I am very proud to put her before us as a recommendation for trustee emeritus.
Thank you, Vice Chair Hart. Very, very well said. Any discussion? Anybody have any comments? I would just add to what's been said about both trustees Mahaney and Savoy. They're certainly very worthy candidates for emeritus status. I learned a lot from both of them. I had the pleasure and honor of being able to be on the board when they were served. In fact, I served as vice chair when Tammy was chair, and that was a heck of a year. We were very busy, and her attention to detail and everything is very well known. But it was great. I learned a lot from her, and of course, I learned a lot from Bob as well. So I think these are very well deserved. So, any other comments? If not, we have a motion and a second pending. So I would ask Secretary Andrew to please call the roll on the motion, please.
Please indicate with yes or no. Trustee Young?
Yes.
Trustee Hart?
Yes.
Trustee Fatante?
Yes.
Trustee Sepinen?
Yes.
Trustee Holmquist?
Yes.
Trustee LaPointe Dunham?
Yes.
Trustee Lindberg?
Yes.
Trustee Toutant?
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0.
Thank you, Secretary Andrew. We'll now move on to our announcement on informal and closed sessions. We'll call on President Tessman.
Chair Young, the NMU Board of Trustees will hold a closed session in conjunction with the Thursday and Friday, December 12th and 13th, 2024 meetings of the board.
Thank you. We now go on to the good of the order, and we're actually doing pretty good on time. So it's a pretty hefty agenda, so I appreciate everybody sticking to it. So we'll start with the good of the order, and as we generally do, we start with Vice Chair Hart, and we kind of go around the table from there and end with myself, Trustee Hart.
I spoke a lot, so I'll keep my comments brief. I will say it's such an exciting thing to be here during our 125th anniversary, and I'm just so excited to be a part of all of the amazing things that are happening on this campus. It's just such a wonderful time. I'm getting a little nostalgic since it's my last homecoming, and this will be my final year on the board. But, hearing from ASNMU, working and engaging with the NMU Foundation yesterday, the alumni committee this morning, it's just been wonderful to see all of the positive momentum that's happening around campus. So, and the weather's great too, and I'm certainly looking forward to a great game tomorrow. So go Cats!
Thank you, Trustee Fatante.
So I started as a student at Northern in its 78th year, and to be here for its 125th anniversary is just crazy. Crazy to me that I'm that old, but I'm really honored to be a part of this. And the celebration last night was spectacular. I hope you all were able to make it. Sorry, Missy.
Yeah, that's great.
And the program that they had, there was a video and then dancers and singers, and it was actually really emotional. The video was amazing. It was fun to, learn a lot of the history I knew, but to learn some new history. It was so much fun to watch our talented singers and dancers. I mean, I was singing along, tapping my toes. The alma mater, though, tears. It was very emotional, and just it's a great alma mater, but I did end up in tears. The whole night was great, and I'm proud to be a Wildcat.
Thank you, Trustee Fontaine. We'll go this way now with Greg back that way.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. As a Northern alum and a Northern trustee, I find this a good time to reflect on what it means to have NMU as part of this community for the last 125 years. Like many of the families in this community, my grandparents immigrated from Finland at about the same time that NMU was established. Just like my family and all the families in this region, Northern has grown and changed over the last century and a quarter. We are now in a new era. Just like the Marquette region, Northern Michigan University is poised to enter the future and become a stronger and better university. Marquette region is rightly identified as someplace special. And NMU, with its great students, talented faculty, and staff, are a major part of making all this someplace special. Now, let's all take a deep breath and enjoy the moment that has been 125 years in the making. Go Cats.
Well said, well said. Trustee Holmquist.
Well, good morning, everyone. I was very sad to miss yesterday's activities, and especially the evening. I heard nothing but wonderful things about the event, but happy that I was able to make it here today. I'm excited to celebrate NMU's 125th birthday. A proud alum graduating here with both my bachelor's and master's degree. And I think a story like so many other NMU students, there were limited opportunities for me when I was looking at college. Cost was definitely a factor, and I was very nervous to leave my little hometown of Crystal Falls and go to college. I also left school for a brief period of time, took a year off between my sophomore and junior year, which often leads to students not returning to school. But I did, and Northern welcomed me back and helped me through the process. And of course, graduated with both my bachelor's and master's degrees. So I can't say enough about what Northern has done for me, and love the fact that I'm able to continue to serve on the board here. I also want to thank President Tessman. I know, thank you, Vice Chair Hart, for all of your kind words earlier. I was able to also serve on the search committee, and so excited to have you here leading our university into the future. I know you said vision, and I'm so excited about the vision, our strategic plan, and the trajectory that we're on here. Very student-focused, supportive of our staff and all of our faculty. So it's a great time to be here at NMU. So I just want to say happy homecoming to everyone. It's going to be a great day, great game, beautiful weather, and can't wait for all the activities.
Thank you, Trustee Holmquist. Trustee LaPointe Dunham.
Sure. Well, just expand on everyone's memories here. But Northern really, changed my life for the good. Getting a degree from Northern really opened up doors for me, and just a really special place. Obviously, I met my wife here, started our family. Always happy to be back here. One comment, though, I just want to make that I think Rebecca from the ROTC made earlier with the cybersecurity presentation is she came here because of the small size classes, one-on-one with professors. And I think we can't lose sight of that as we, our goals are to expand and grow and, make things bigger and better, but we can't lose sight of that one-on-one aspect that Northern provides.
Good point. Trustee Toutant.
Well said for everybody. To build off of that, I always try to look for a theme every time we get together. And it's always rejuvenating when we do. So we take time out of our busy lives to share a few days together. And I want to thank you for that. It's a great opportunity. There's one element that I reflect on, and that's vision. And we've heard that comment several times here. But it's vision in action. If there's an element about Northern's 125 years is that it took constant vision, it took constant transformation. So I think back on that, and throughout the presentations this last couple of days, the impressive nature of that vision and action when you think about academics, fiscal operations, facilities, the intentionality of how we take care of faculty, staff and students, all that's not by accident. It just takes a constant vigilance around vision and planning and the intense amount of work that goes into it. So I'm often reminded of that, especially today with even the history lesson of looking back, we wouldn't be here today without vision. And we're so excited what the future holds because of the vision that's going on with the strategic plan initiatives and all the neat things that are happening. So, as it relates to yesterday's session with the foundation, maybe that's a part of Always Northern is the vision. So, pretty cool stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Toutant. Trustee Lindberg.
Well, one of the advantages of going last, I guess, is everyone has said what you were going to say, and then you're. But as I look at history, in 1962, when I walked on this campus as a freshman, it was Northern Michigan College, and the next year we became Northern Michigan University. And as we've talked a lot about this week, the thing that has not changed in all those years are people and place. And I heard Brock say it so well a number of times, is that, students come here for the place, but it's really the people that make this place, in addition to the wonderful surroundings we have. And I think that continues to hold true, and I can speak for the community. I'm part of this community. Every year, when Northern comes back, everyone that I know says, God, isn't it great to have these young people back and the energy that they bring? I mean, this community embraces this institution and its young people. And it is. I mean, we bitch a little bit about the traffic, but having the students back on this campus is just one of the highlights of this community. And I hope Northern is here for another 125 years.
Thank you, Trustee Lindberg, for those comments, and I know what I mean about going last because everything I'd written down has been said, but I just, a couple of things to Brock, or to President Tessman, and to Kristen, and to your family. It seems like you reinforce every time I meet with you or see you or seeing you interact with the community that we made the right decision 18 months ago or 19 months ago, whenever that was, to bring you to this campus and to lead us. You've done an outstanding job, and it's such a strong commitment on your part, and not just you, but your family. Kristen as well is probably one of your strongest assets, maybe strongest. But anyways, I don't need to say that because everybody here knows Kristen, but it's really been a pleasure to not only get to know you personally, but professionally, and to watch you work to bring this campus back. And we've got a long ways to go. There's no question about it. But we're making progress, and I think that's all we can all hope for. And in terms of last night, I don't even know. It's hard to even verbalize what a cool event that was, and the people that were there, the students, and the performances. I got to reconnect with some of my cast members from my performance and Anything Goes, and I got to see some of my buds from my. My career hasn't taken off there yet, but I'm still waiting for the call. But anyways, it really was something. And just watching the people at the tables, because they had us kind of spread out to the dining hall there, and it's amazing the reaction of the people to that program. So I know a lot of people helped put that together. It was not done by one person or a group of people. It was done by a ton of people. So whoever did that deserves tremendous kudos. So thank you very much for that. Okay. If there's no further discussion, there is no further business before this board, and I move that we adjourn. We are adjourned.
Right on time.